So, if you're a nonprofit registered in multiple states, you know that staying compliant is about way more than just filing the right forms. It's really about managing that constant flow of communication from state regulators. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to handle all of that communication efficiently. And just so you know, what we're talking about today is part of our series on multi-state fundraising compliance, where we try to make these complex topics a little easier for nonprofit leaders to handle. This resource is provided by Ironwood Registrations. So let me just ask you something straight up. As your fundraising efforts are growing, and that's great news, is your system for managing all the state paperwork actually growing with it? Because successful expansion, well, it brings its own set of challenges. And that's really the heart of the issue, isn't it? As organizations start fundraising in more and more states, managing all that related communication becomes a serious operational task. It's not just simple admin work anymore. When we say correspondence, what are we even talking about? Well, it's all kinds of official notices. You've got deficiency notices pointing out errors, you've got renewal reminders, confirmations that your registration is approved, and even requests for clarification or follow-ups after an audit. So, just to put a clear definition on it, state correspondence is any official communication you get from a state agency about your fundraising registration. And it's so important to remember this stuff doesn't just show up in the mailbox anymore. It can be an email or even just a notification posted inside a state's online portal. All right, so why does what seems like a simple task get so complicated? Honestly, the answer is scale. A system that works just fine for one state can totally fall apart when you're trying to manage many. I mean, think about it. If your organization is only registered in one state, managing these notices is pretty straightforward, right? You probably know who to expect mail from and roughly when to expect it. But let's say you jump to 10 or more states. Suddenly, the game completely changes. The sheer volume and variety of communication demands a structured, centralized tracking system. It really stops being optional and becomes absolutely essential. And the difference is just crystal clear. With one state, you have a nice, predictable workflow. But with multiple states, you're all of a sudden juggling completely different communication channels, all these varying deadlines, and a much, much higher risk that an important notice gets lost or sent to the wrong person. And all this complexity, it leads to some pretty predictable failures. Let's take a look at the most common places where we see correspondence management systems break down. First up, a simple but critical error. Outdated contact information. If your mailing address or your registered agent's address isn't totally current with every single state, crucial notices might not even reach your organization in the first place. And the digital equivalent of that? The inactive inbox. You know, a lot of states will send important notices to generic email addresses like info@ or development@. If that inbox isn't being monitored every day, or if the person in charge of it leaves, those emails can just vanish into the ether. Now, here's a real curveball. Some states don't actually send you notices at all. Instead, they just post them inside their online filing portals. And if nobody is assigned to regularly log in and check those portals, critical messages will just sit there, completely unread. And this might just be the biggest breakdown of them all. No clear internal ownership. You know how it goes. A notice comes in, it gets forwarded around, and everybody just assumes someone else is handling it. Without a designated owner, deadlines fly by while that responsibility is just hanging in the air. So what happens when these breakdowns lead to missed notices? Well, the consequences are very real, and they can directly impact your ability to fundraise. You see, failing to respond on time can get your filing marked as incomplete or even flat out rejected. It can lead to late fees, and in a worst-case scenario, your registration status can actually lapse. And that lapse status, that can become public information, which can damage donor trust and totally disrupt your fundraising operations. Okay, so that's the problem, and it can feel a bit daunting. But the good news is you can absolutely take control. Let's walk through how to build an efficient, structured system that actually works. Here are 5 really practical steps. First, centralize all communication. Funnel it all into one designated, actively monitored email address or system. Second, make it a habit to confirm all your contact info with each state is up to date. Third, assign one person or team with clear responsibility. No more confusion. Fourth, log every single notice that comes in, the date, the state, the deadline, and who owns it. And finally, when you resolve an issue, get that confirmation in writing. It'll protect you from any future misunderstandings. Implementing a system like this isn't just about better paperwork. It's really a strategic move that protects the long-term health and continuity of your organization. This quote really captures the goal perfectly. When you have a solid system in place, compliance stops being a series of unpredictable fire drills and instead becomes a predictable, manageable part of your everyday operations. And that predictability is what protects your most important assets: your ability to fundraise continuously, the trust your donors place in you, and your eligibility for those grants that require you to be in good standing. Ultimately, this is the main takeaway. Getting your internal house in order with a strong compliance system isn't some distraction from your mission. It's what enables and supports your ability to grow and achieve that mission for the long haul. Look, as your nonprofit expands, managing these regulatory notices becomes absolutely essential. Having clear ownership and centralized tracking reduces your risk and supports your growth. To learn more, feel free to visit ironwoodregistrations.com.